misunderstanding or it's more than that. So as church leaders, we need to do inventory of our church. Let's take an inventory of the youth and adults. Like the example I gave you, the kid running around. I've been to that church a couple of times, and each time it's like coincident or by accident. Each time I'm there, I see him running, and people just ignore. Sometimes they will hold them tight. But it's living in a different world. Same thing with people with mental illness. People will hear voices that nobody else is hearing beside them. Hallucination. They are hearing voices. They are seeing things that no other person is seeing. So that means they are living in a different world. So when you are in church here, you may see people singing and things, but there are more than that. I was doing some training in school with teachers, and I'm saying teachers that work with kids from different culture, you see them carrying this backpack. There's more things in that backpack than books and pencils. And teachers need to unpack it. Maybe they come from home with no houses, homeless kids. They just come from shelter. And you think that backpack is only books? No, there are a lot of things that he's thinking about. So we as a church, we need to look at mental illness in a positive way. Another question I have, in what ways does your church struggle with addressing mental health? Any leader of this church, what ways? When, as a church, do you ever even, besides once a year, do you make this as a ministry in your church? There's mental health ministry, whereby you have a committee of housing, building houses. You need to have a committee of that too. That's ministry. Not just when you go to psych units and the hospital and so forth, but your church needs to create a ministry for something like that, for people like that, because you're going to see them coming here for food, yet they need some spiritual help too. So, like I said, I have many questions here, but again, since we don't have a full church, it's hard for me to hold people to have that interaction. And I hope that many of you that are here, maybe you are a member of this church, or maybe you are a leader of this church. When events are coming, it's not the pastor's job alone. Talk to some friends. Let them know what we are doing here, so that it's not just people say, oh, it's out. No, flyer is not only calling people in addition to flyers. Today I received 3 calls to remind me of events that they have sent to me since August. You know, either wedding, either NAMI, either other professional. People don't rely on flyers. We call each other. We had an African Mental Health Summit that Pastor LOVETH was there. It was full. But we did not rely on flyer. We have other people helping the church. Those are the people that are to be calling people. Early in the morning today, they say, oh, remember today at 1 o'clock, this is happening. So we need to do more work in order to spread the word. If we really care about people's well-being, then we need to take action. Is that flyer, is that flash drive working yet? I think I just want to give you a brief of something, since many of us cannot answer this question yet. But before then, the role of church in addressing youth mental health is very important. We have youth coming in. We cannot just say, oh, they're not thinking about anything. They have roof over their head. We give them food. We buy them sneakers, shoes. But they are living in 2 worlds too, especially those ones, even if they are born here. They still see them living in 2 worlds, your home world and the school world and the community at large. So we cannot undermine what is going on with the issues. Last Saturday, I was at Kenyan community. They had 2 deaths of suicide of the 18-year-old and 21. And we dealt with that issue in the community. It was a large park that people came there to talk about what they've been doing, what happened. In our other community, Nigerian community, something like that happened about a year or two. I didn't hear any outcome after that. So, please, it is important that we as a church to create room, not just for reading the Bible and praying. Everything has their own importance. There's importance in prayer, and there's importance in when we have to deal with counseling and so forth. Mental health, mental illness, they are like physical. There is no health without mental health. As you can see, it comes around it. So it's like physical health. We cannot shy away. Easily people will call you and say, oh, I'm so sorry somebody has cancer. They talk about it, but they want to say, oh, somebody just have depression. It's happening. We all have mental health, but we do not all have mental illness. How we do that, if it doesn't interfere with your day-to-day, when it interferes with your day-to-day activity, that's when it becomes illness. And that is when it becomes disorder. That is disorderly in the health. All right. So what do you have for me? Okay. Like I said, I will not make this very formal. Whatever I have here, I will give it to Pastor LOVETH to print and share in the church with your leaders at some point. I just want to, before then, let me say more. I just mentioned about starting a ministry. Starting health ministry, mental health ministry, is one of the roles of the church. As of today, no matter how small you are, even if it's one or two people, let them be the one that will bring in information to this church. Starting the ministry like that is very, very important. There's a lot of stigma when it comes to mental health, but the more you create avenue to talk about it, the better. People feel more comfortable that, oh, I'm not alone. When 1 out of 4 adults have these issues of mental health or mental illness, that to me is significant enough to talk about it. 1 out of 4 youth and 1 out of 5 adults by WHO. That's pretty high. You may not be the one, but you may have relatives or friends that are struggling with challenges of emotional instability. So what I'm talking about right now is the role of church in addressing mental health. Educating church leaders and members. How do you do that? Church leaders and members must inform and must be informed about this. That is a church I'm affiliated with. Every last Tuesday of the month, we have an event called empowerment. That empowerment is only 1 hour online, 10 to 11. That empowerment includes so many things. I did a presentation there in that church when they had their first women conference, and since that time, they gave me a job that I didn't apply for. That every last Tuesday, I have to either present or find someone to present. And the last one we did was on financial empowerment. I brought somebody to talk about finance planning, financial planning, all kinds of things like that. And I have opportunity to have invited Tola here, the leader of this one of the leaders of this church, to present at that church on tax implications. You can see how it's not just come pray, come do this. Now, some people that were struggling about filing their taxes, they know whom to call, they know the rule guiding that. So having something like that here is not a bad idea. It is not the quantity but the quality of members. This church may not be 400 or 200, but what are the people that come here? What do they get out of here? Is what is important to them. Partnering with mental health professionals will be another role that the church can play. when you partner with professionals, like now, Pastor Loveth doesn't call me a partner, but she brings me here every time. And I call on her too. So, again, it's partnering and it's partnership. So when you partner, churches can provide resources and referral to those people that you partner with. They may say, oh, so is having this issue here. Can we call, doesn't have to be Dr. One, but I can refer the person to someone else. So that's partnership. So the church cannot stay alone. The church has the serve community, and so they need to bring people from the community to the church. And why do they come here? People come to church for different reasons. And if they are not meeting those needs, you don't see them again. I always tell people that follow prophets, I say, every individual has their own prophets. You don't know whom your prophet is until you meet that person. So that doesn't mean you have to be shopping around to see who your prophet is. So in the church, it's more than just come and pray and sing. So partnership with mental health professional in the church and the community is very important. Providing education and awareness. Many young people are unaware of their own mental health issues. Sometimes parents are not even aware. There was a thing that we did yesterday at DHS on parents who are under stress. And the title was Parents Under Pressure. It was a very, very good information that we, 2 hours, not too bad. And we talk about different things. And I brought the idea, I said, well, if you're talking about Americans going under pressure with as parents, how about immigrant parents? They are going double pressure, triple. So church can be exposed to see what's happening within their own members. I always say that because of the community gossip syndrome, some people don't want to tell even pastor what is going on. And the pastor can be a good reference to them. So it is important to have education and awareness about our youth, mental health, as well as their parents. Because parents have to juggle so many things, especially now that the school is back. They are happy that kids are back in school, but that one carry another level of stress. Basketball, you become a Uber or unlicensed Uber by driving those kids to everywhere. I do remember when my own kids were growing up, and I told them, I am not an helicopter mom. I cannot just fly down and pick you up here. I have work to do. Now we thank God there's Uber. That time no Uber. Well, that's true. If you weigh that out as to if you have to go all this way and you know you have another meeting, that's another way to do that. So it is important to do those things. Encouraging healthy habits. These are the role of the church. Encourage your members to live a healthy habit. What does that mean? This can be done by providing opportunity for physical activities. Maybe in the church here we can have some exercise bicycle here. Yeah, that's a healthy habit. You can do different things like even the food that you provide. Let it be all-round type of food, not just fufu. So that's one of the role of the churches too. Remember now, the temple of the Holy Spirit, Corinthians 6, 19, 20. By encouraging healthy habits, churches can promote overall well-being, including their mental health need. Promoting spiritual growth. Everything I'm talking about are the role of the church. And when I'm done, it becomes Pastor Loveth's copy. Because I really want him, when I come next time, that they would drive me to say, this is the person in charge of our mental health ministry. Churches can provide those things. It is very important. It's not too bad. And it's not too much. If we can organize so many activities that people won't show up, organize something that they themselves will be the leader of it. People don't become responsible until you give them responsibility. And we all know responsibility is important even in the church. If it's only welcoming, if it's only cleaning the microphone or chair or tables, please. The word mental health should not shy us away. We should be stronger in promoting it because we know we all have it. And if you don't have it, a friend, a relative, even back home. So that is why it's important to talk about this. Now, like I said, I will not go through this slide, but there's something there that I want to see that is called what to take away. Takeaways, okay. Like I said, I will give this to Pastor Loveth so that you can do what you want to do with it. It's very important that you all know that mental health is alive and is in every one of us. Mental illness is not in every one of us, but we may have relatives, friends who may be struggling with their emotional responsibilities. What are these areas that people need help with? It's important to talk about it. And sometimes when I do presentation like this, people just listen like you are a student. You are not a student. You need to ask some questions. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes now for individual to ask questions.
You know, I know as a community, when something happens, we all rally together. Especially, we have had cases in the Nigerian community where somebody committed suicide, a young adult. I was thinking, why don't we talk about this issue right there when everybody is present during the burial so that people know the cause of death? We are trying to prevent whatever happened so that there is no reoccurrence. But we put it for a later date. That's how people forget.
You know, when incident like that happen, it's like a double-edged sword.
Okay.
People are mourning at that time.
Yes.
And so that's what they call teachable moment. Could that be the teachable time? No, really. Because at that time, people were still grappling with incident that happened. And because of that, that is why it won't happen. However, the community leaders, when that happens, they don't need to wait for 1 year.
Yes.
And I hear what you're saying. When things happen, it's the spur of the moment. People, like here now, you see people live here, they say, I'm going to do something. The moment they are out, that's the end of that. The moment they are out of that burial ground,
Yes.
people don't talk about it. And so it's a teachable moment opportunity that people need to take a look at. So that is a good question to ask. Why are people not following through? It is important to follow through and do it at the right time. And so that is. Any other question?
Hi. What I noticed in my own environment of work is that I've seen some differences between our community population coming into the hospital. It's just that even when you are talking to the family, it's like it's not happening. It's very hard for them to comprehend what's going on. Everything is not about witchcraft. So it's a huge problem, a very huge problem. And sometimes you send some people that speak the same language with them just to help drive home the issue wrong with that person that is being treated. So I don't know. We have to start small within our community. That's my opinion. Just starting from the grassroots, because our community is really lacking behind.
That is very true. Like I said, it's not the quantity but quality. We need to start, even if it's with 2 people or 3 people, of our own mental health ministries. Yes, question?
Yeah, I was just going to say something to buttress what our elder just mentioned, because people don't even have that immediate understanding. So, like you said, people think it's still the witches or something that have, they said it from back home. And it's appalling that in this country, with all the level of exposure, we still have the parents, not even the children or the younger ones, the youths. They are still having that kind of backward, I won't say backward, but that's just what they're oriented with. So that's what they know. So how can we now help them? Because if we don't even take care of that, we cannot go forward.
Well, unfortunately, it may be difficult because you are here and you cannot control or participate in something that you are not part of it. Many of us are yearning, and we are all yearning to head back home, but we are not there to implement it. You may have an idea. Oh, here? Oh, sorry. Well, yes, you can take people out of Nigeria or Sierra Leone or anywhere in Africa. You can take them out of there, but you cannot take them out of that place in their mind. People come in here donkey years, and they will never eat anything like salad because they are not used to it. And so it's repetition. We need to repeat this thing. Repetition strengthens memory. The more we bring these people and talk to them about, you know what, remind them you are no longer in Nigeria. This is how we do it here. And that's one of the issues that some of our parents are facing with parenting, because they have to learn different way of parenting. And so it's important. I want to make sure I mention some factors here that you guys need to know. What are the factors affecting mental health? Our mental health issues. 1, developmental. Some of these are based on developmental issues. When kids were born, a certain missing of some chromosomes. A lot of time when that happens, that can be an issue. It can also be an issue when they are young, child abuse issues, and people become traumatized. You see some kids that cannot detach from their parents. We have some of those issues. Some of these are developmental issues, and it's environmental as well. Another area is social. The race, the socio-economic, all these are factors that affect our mental well-being. The physical, the medical conditions that people go through sometimes. A lot of time people drive and have accident and turn out to have TBI, which is called trauma brain injury, traumatic brain injury. That can lead to mental illness. Biological, which is genetics. So these things are not just witchcraft. This is real part of developmental stages. Environmental, housing, climate. Guess what? Your zip code matters. I tell people where you live matters. Are you in an environment where there's gunshot every day and every night? So all these areas, these major 5 factors affect our mental health and mental well-being. What are the causes? Again, biological, like I mentioned, factors, hereditary, the brain damage, all those kind of things. When it comes to consideration, practice consideration. Africans do not have a universal meaning. We do not have a universal meaning to mental health. We define it by our own culture. And that is why it's different from WHO or the DSM-5 that we use. There are some diagnoses that is not in the textbook. It's a type of syndrome that we don't have there. And so for us, those are very cultural, and it's important to know that. We need to practice spiritual courses, a frequent explanation of mental health, and it's not. We need to consider those things before we come to conclusion. The takeaway, like I said, I don't know how much time I have. There is no health without mental health. That is the takeaway. Mental illness can be complex, but it's treatable. It is treatable. Okay. Mental illness can be complex, but it's treatable. Do not be ashamed. These are the takeaways. Do not be ashamed to talk about it. Always see mental illness as any other health, physical. People will talk about their own diabetics, that they cannot eat certain things because they have diabetes. But they will not say, I'm depressed. Oh, I have a depression. I don't hear people saying that. And I'm not hearing people saying, I'm hallucinating. I'm hearing words that nobody is hearing. Or people are talking to me and I'm just hallucinating. Talk to your pastors. Forget about gossip syndrome. Talk to the pastor. They may be able to help you. And like I mentioned, when you have your own mental health ministry, then talk to the counselor that may be in your ministry. You can invite me, but it's not free. Thank you very much. Questions? Somebody has questions here.
Thank you for your presentation. A question that I have is in relation to medical literacy. You know, oftentimes when we speak with African immigrants or just people of color in general who are not originally from the U.S., medical literacy is very important. It's a certain language that needs to be spoken so that they are understood. Oftentimes if parents bring their children into hospitals and things like that, they just think that, oh, medication is a fix-for-all type of thing. But they're not really understanding the issue at hand. And oftentimes you have, you know, either children or even adults, young adults who are then discharged from the hospital and then they're brought right back because there are either not enough resources that they are able to have, or the environment in which they are embedded in at home or school is oftentimes triggering some of their symptoms. So as you're speaking to African immigrants or other people of color, how do you translate what's going on to them so that they're able to understand it? And how do you try to engage with them to improve their medical literacy so they're understanding when certain behaviors are happening at home? They're understanding when something abnormal, or so when something goes from normal to abnormal, so that we can make sure that we can, you know, impact our children at an early age so that it doesn't further along the way. So how do you, what advice do you have for us as we speak to other people in terms of engaging with people within our community so they're able to understand the things that are going on with their children or their family members and loved ones?
Well, thank you for this. A lot of time what I tell parents, you are the caretaker of your kids. You know when they sleep, you know when they eat. You can tell there are some signs when they are not eating well or they are overly eating. These are symptoms, those are signs. But parents do not take enough time. You have to be an anthropologist to know what is going on within your environment. So parents need to be more cognitive of when those changes are happening. When do you notice that your son, who is 12 years old, that loves school, just of a sudden doesn't like to go to school anymore? He likes to see friends, just of a sudden doesn't want to be any friend. You want to be isolated. Those are signs that you need to be tracking down to say, I noticed this. But sometimes parents will say they will grow out of it. They will never grow out of it. So it is important to do that. And if you have more questions, I'm still around because I know somebody is really edgy to get me out here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, let's give Dr. Oni another round of applause. He has really nurtured us with good information. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be having our pastor talking about entrepreneurship topics, along with Elder Tola Edison Edibor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I know this is a sensitive topic. As a community, we are not just coming to church to worship, but we want to know how you are doing. You know, it's only when you are happy you want to serve God with a happy mind. If something is going on in your life, in your family, you cannot pay your rent, you cannot pay your mortgage, you cannot come to church and be a happy person to worship God. So now, I know I get a lot of questions in the community. People want to start up a new business. I'm going to talk about what I know, being in business in the last 21 years. So there are challenges, very, very well. And my Edatola here, she's a tax person. She knows all the tax laws. So we benefit from that. So anytime we have issue here in the church, we all run to her, and she put us right so that we don't get into issue with IRS or the law. Okay, I know people want to start up a business. Everybody, that's their dream. I want to start up a business. You know, first of all, what type of business do you want to do? At times people come to me, I'm a healthcare practitioner. Oh, I want to do healthcare. I say, but what type do you want? Oh, my friend is doing group home. But be specific, what type? Each type of business comes with different licenses. So now we want to talk about types of business. You know, if you are doing your braiding hair shop or salon, you don't need to go register a S Corp or C Corporation. That's a sole proprietorship. That's just you alone. Go register it at SOS, and that's it. You don't have no employee. It's only you. So there is general partnership. There is limited liability company, LSC. There is limited liability partnership. There is a C Corp, there is S Corp. I'm not going to go into detail. The S part is here. Even me, every time I keep on asking, okay, my own business, which one, which C or S? She will tell me which type I have. You know, so it's very detailed. So you don't want to make mistakes. You want to go to the S part. A sole proprietor is an unincorporated business that is owned by a single person, just you alone. You don't have no workers with you. So go register it and continue your catering business. They call you, cook 2 coolers of rice for me. You cook, deliver, they pay you. Braid hair, collect the money. Salon. So, you know, these little things you do is when you start expanding, then you can make changes to the business. For this, you are the owner. No formal filing. You file it with your normal tax. But more of those questions, you direct it to the tax person. A general partnership is an agreement between 2 or more individuals who agree to share in profit, loss, and legal liabilities of a company. At times, we work as consultants for other companies too. They're just going to 1099 you. You know, you take, I've paid you 40,000, you go do something with it. They're going to report it to the IRS because it's a mutual agreement. Dr. Oni, you are still owing me my money. Anytime I work for you. So those are kind of those partnerships. Okay, they bring you in, you are going to do this X amount of thing, I'm going to pay you. At the end of the day, they 1099 you. they report it to the IRS, then you go file your taxes with it. So if you don't file it, after a couple of years, they're going to come back for you and say, S company pay you 5,000. You did not include it in your 2020 tax. They will come back. So you have to go back and re-amend that tax and pay all the things that you need to do. Then there is a limited liability. One is a business structure that limits the personal liability of LSC members. The benefit, it reduces your liability. Because if you don't know, if anything happened to the business, it affects you. So you want to know which type you really want to do or register. Then the limited liability partnership is a partnership structure registered as a business entity that reduces each partner's liability. So you want to bring your liability down. You don't want to incur so much. So that's why you really want to sit down with your tax person so that they can tell you which one befits the type of business you want to do. It reduces your liability as a partner. Then, this is the big one. This is the corporation. A C Corp is a business entity that is set up with shareholders as owners of the company. The most important thing, we're always looking out for the tax part of it. You are taxed as corporation. Easy to add shareholders and owners. Then you are now big. You have employees. So when you have many employees, those are the ones that you want to look out, because now it's more than just you. Then the S Corp, even me, I will still ask that question, because they are very close, but the tax person is going to tell us the big difference. The S Corp is similar to C Corp in that it registers with the state as an entity, gives shareholders, owners, and the board members. The difference between a C and S is that an S corporation elects to have revenue passed down to the owner. Yes, revenue will be passed down to the owner. I think we like that. This eliminates the possibility of double taxation. So they will not tax you on this side as in your personal and tax you on the other side. You know, so you want to look at all these very well. The first thing you do, once you know which type you want to do, is to go to SOS. There was one time I was talking to somebody, say, oh, to register business, they say it's very expensive, it costs a lot of money. I said, where? Who is telling you that? What's the lot of money? Yeah. He said, oh, they say it's more than 5,000. I say, bring the 5,000, let me help you. I can do that for you in 10 minutes. So, you know, you need to be knowledgeable about all these things. Ask questions. We are here. We are here to help each and every one of us. The second step, once you do the SOS, then you register your little business. The next step is to get your federal ID number from the IRS. Now everything is virtually done online. Then once you go online and do it right away, answer all the necessary questions. In that part, be sure exactly what that business is all for. Because if you make mistake there, when you file it, they will come after you. So you want to be knowledgeable about that. Right away, under 10 minutes, it's going to generate a federal ID for you. Keep that letter, and that's all you need. Then you take that letter and the certificates from SOS to the bank to go get a bank account for that business. One thing I've noticed, do your business, register it, go through the legal process. Don't take shortcuts, because if you do take shortcuts, it's going to come back to haunt you further down the road. Get your accountant. Do all your bookkeeping. It's very, very important. At times, people just do business. They don't do bookkeeping. Do it, you know, the Nigerian way. But when you want to get something from the bank, they need all this. Your statement of account, profits and loss, how have you been doing? Without all this, that's the history. Nobody's going to give you no money. Even though it's $5,000, they will not give you. Because are they sure that you're going to pay back? Is that business really doing well? So these are all, keep all your records intact. And always talk to your accountant for accurate bookkeeping. Bookkeeping can make you, can break you. Bookkeeping can take your business to the next level. If you don't do good one, your business will just be stagnant. Other people will be doing very well. You think, what am I doing wrong? Yes. You are trying not to pay all the taxes, right? And now you want to benefit from your business. We see that a lot during the COVID time, when it was time for PPE, a lot of people could not get PPE because their books were not right. They were doing business as usual under the table. And that was money that people got that really established their business, that took their business to the next level. So if you are not transparent in all that you do, there will come a day you will not enjoy it. Now, I want to go into home care. That's my area that I am very knowledgeable about. And all people come to me all the time, oh, I want to start home care. I say, what type do you want? That's where they will stop for 10 minutes. They cannot answer my question. I say, no, I will only help you if you tell me what you want. They say, no, we just want to do home care, group home. I say, even in the group home, there are different licenses. You need to tell me which one you want to do. They say, okay, the one you are doing. I say, when they say the one I'm doing, I say, okay, I have more than 4 licenses, so which one do you want to do? So we still keep going back. Then, and I said, okay, all these ones, you see, oh, my friend have 5 homes. Yes, your friend have 5 homes. How all those homes, are the homes filled or they are empty? Because people will always tell you the good part of their business. The bad one, have you paid rent in a home for 3 years, no clients? Are you ready for that? Yeah, somebody came to me recently. Oh, I need to talk to you. I said, fine. I said, but are you ready? Make sure you have rent, money for mortgage for a year or 2 while you are waiting for a client. He said, really? I said, yes. Because once you are into it, you cannot go back. You manage it until things start falling in place. And every day, the rules are changing. There is moratorium on everything, so you have to be prepared financially for it. So we have the basic home care license, which you can only do the basic. You cannot do the nursing part of it, the skilled visit and all that. Just basic. And once your license is basic, there is restriction. You can't do a lot. You just do visit in people's home, provide basic care. You can't do anything that is complex. Then we have the comprehensive one. With comprehensive, you can do everything under comprehensive. You can do basic, and basic is included in comprehensive. So you can do skilled nursing, home visit, everything, housing with services, and all that bigger things. So, but you need to know which one. And the licensing stuff has changed. Now, those days, they just give you licenses. We didn't pay money. But now, before you even submit application, we were talking the other day, Dr. Oni was referring somebody to me that go talk to LOVETH. The person said, I saw the amount, almost 5,000 you have to pay to put in the application. And you don't know whether the application is going to be even approved. That's a lot of money. And not to talk of the insurances. You have to do 4 insurances, if I'm not mistaken. You have to get workman's comp, dishonesty bond, liability, and one other one. Yes. So those are 4 licenses. You have to pay for it. Whether you like it or not is a requirement that go with your application. So all these things, look at the financial aspect of it. Not just I have a license. What need is it? You have a license, it's not profitable. That's where our money is going to. At the end of the day, we say there is no money. You are just busy spending 5,000 for nothing that you are not getting return for what you have. Then the assisted living, which is a big one right now that everybody wants to do. Yesterday somebody called me, oh, I have a home already. I'm going to use it. I said, okay. He said, but I said, do you have the LAD, Licensed Assisted Living Director? He said, no, he's about to take the exam. I said, oh, that exam you get as a bill before you can get that licensure too. That's you. I said, then the second one is the house. He said, yes, they have a house. They're going to let the renters leave by March. I said, before you let the people staying there leave or give them notice, think about it very well. I said, because the moment you let them go, you're going to pay that rent. The process alone can take up to a year. I said, so what happened? You're going to continue paying the rent while DHS is processing your application. DHS, we know you send something to them today. It can take a year. Any mistake, they return it back. 60 days, you go back on the line. So I said, think about all these things. He said, but they say it just take 1 month. I said, where? 1 month. I said, whoever told you that doesn't like you. You know, so there is the 245D. This morning somebody told me about integrated license. I said, what's that again? Integrated license is like basic 245D. You just do the minimum. You don't do the intensive part of it. And it's given to people that have home care, but you don't want to do the detailed parts. I said, okay. I remember somebody called me 2 months ago. They were talking about it. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So the person want to have it, want to have a house. So now with integrated license, you cannot have a home. You can only do the basic thing. You can only do home with intensive. That's intensive that have basic support and intensive support services. So you need to know all these things before you get into it. But nobody is going to explain all those 9 yards to you. So there was another one I found out too. You start from somewhere. As you know the business, you start going into more. The home management registration. That one, you don't need no license. It's just certification. Put all your paperwork together, and you are already on your way. You can go to people's home, do housekeeping for them. You prepare meal for them, and you go shopping for them. You don't need $10,000 in your account to do this. And it's not going to affect your primary job. The more people you have, the more you disengage from your normal job. So I was looking at this. I said, wow, home management, you don't need a license. They can approve this one for you in a twinkle of an eye. Well, everybody is busy talking about home. You start like this. And you know the payment for this housekeeping thing is a lot. I think they are paying almost like $30-something an hour. Imagine you going to do that by yourself. You go do it for 5 hours. So there are many ways to make money. You just have to know what you want to do. So I think that's all that I have. If you have questions regarding whatever I've talked about, and mind you too, there are challenges. If you want to serve people, go learn customer service. Very, very important. I tell people my clients don't leave me. I go above and beyond. I've had clients that have been with me in the last 12, 13 years. They are still there. Customer service. Go above and beyond for them. They will remain there. Because whatever you offer, they will go out there, they can't find it, they will return back. Go ahead, your question.
Thank you, Pastor LOVETH, for the presentation. The question that I have is, for those that are looking into opening up like a nursing agency, okay. So like for hospitals or healthcare facilities that are looking into like traveling nurses or, you know, nursing agents to okay. come in to fill in for a particular period of time, how do you go about opening that up, if you can shed light on that?
Yes, I think it's still the same thing, but it's not as difficult as all this. I think you have to do all the licensing too with the state, especially when it has to do with healthcare, because they want to know that you have the qualification. You are going to screen your nurses, especially nurses, because licenses are involved. Yeah. So because it's not the state that is paying you directly, but you are sending them to this facility that is being paid by the state. So they want to make sure they follow all the rules and policy that governs the kind of services they want to provide. Yes, I know those are just third-party agency, yeah. But it's not as difficult as all these licenses. Okay, ma'am.
So I know you mentioned a very important part. You said you have to wait almost a year for clients. Is
Yes.
there no website where people go and bid for clients?
Okay, that's a good
Or
question.
who do you go to ask for clients? Where are these clients found?
That's a good question. You go find your client yourself. The state does not guarantee you no clients. You gonna go hustle those clients yourself. Yes. And after a while, the case workers, if they refer one to you, you do a good job, then they follow up. But if you don't have, you gonna go everywhere. Whatever you know, do it to get your client. Okay. Yeah, but hospitals, you call them, they won't return your call. You go there, nobody will let you see any social worker. Yeah, the MCCP, the MACO or so. Yeah, there are places too. You put your information, you pay for it, but still, you put it there. You know how many people that are on there? How many times do you get clients from there? It's a lie. Yes, that's the good one. Like I refer clients to people if I don't want them. Yeah, that okay, this client, I'll call you. I have S and X client for you. Do you want it? Then straight up, that's it. It go like wildfire. The client can move in 24, 48 hours.
Also,
Thank you, Doc.
also, if also if you have a good marketing personnel or agent, they can go to nursing homes. Your brochure, they leave it in each nursing home. Sometimes they call some agencies and they are not available, or they don't have openings. They will start going down the list, and you might be lucky. They will find your name and your listing and call you if you have opening. They have Living Age is a Living Age. They have you can go register your company, and they do referrals.
Care network.
Nursing homes, hospitals, but you have to have a good network or somebody doing your marketing. That's
And
the
another
key.
thing too, they need you when they are desperate. When nobody, be ready to take the worst client. That's how you start. Yes, worst client, nobody wants them. Then you take on, then tomorrow, that caseworker is your friend.
Also, because of the new rules too, people need to be careful because sometimes you may have a client you can't serve.
Yes.
And you are mandated to hang on to the client for X number of months.
Yes, yes.
And there's another program that is called iHome, Individual Home Option,
Okay.
where that house is not licensed. It can be apartment kind of thing. And the reason for that is because the county is having problem. The home will be owned will be rented and paid for by the clients. And the purpose for that is when you say as a provider, when you decided not to serve a client, you let the client out from your home where the county is having problem replacing them, especially with their behavior. If they are clients with behavior, it will be difficult for the county to place them. But in this home, if you are not interested, you go. But the clients stay in their home and they find a provider to come to that house. Okay. They started that maybe a couple of years ago now. Yes, I think, so, yeah, and the licensing is a little bit, you don't have to go through the 203 type of licensing for the 245D license. So, again, so many ways out there, but overall, you need to know what you're doing. Yes. Because a lot of times, just because A is doing it doesn't mean B will do it right. And what B is doing may not be the right thing. So yes. It is important for you to not copycat that because my neighbor is doing it, I'm going to do it. It doesn't work that way. Thank you.
And another thing we are seeing these days, a lot of them, that all these ones you say 10 homes, 5 homes, they are not in compliance at all. So if you are mirroring what they are doing, you are going to get in problem. Your license is going to be at stake. Any other question? My time up? Okay. Any other question? I'm still here. So any questions? Yeah. Thank you. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Pastor L, for that detail. So it looks like Pastor had already covered the business structures.
I know.
So the sole proprietorship, partnership, LLC, and the corporation. So I think I would just talk more in terms of like the tax consequences for each of the type of businesses. So I'll start with this, with the sole proprietorship. So like she said, it's like very informal. You can start it. I usually recommend my clients to still apply for an EIN number, even if they're going to go into a sole proprietorship, just to separate their social security number from the business, so that they're not giving their social security number to everyone whenever they need to do that. But some of the tax consequences for that one is you file your business activities on a Schedule C, and then whatever profit or loss you make, you pay, if you make a profit, you pay self-employment tax and regular tax. It's also what they consider a pass-through entity as well. So whatever income you make from that gets passed on to your regular tax return 1040, whether it's a profit or loss. So if it's a profit, anything over $400, you pay the Social Security and Medicare. Usually when you work, you only pay 7.65 in Social Security and Medicare, but as a sole proprietorship, you'll be paying both sides of that, so it's 15.3% that you'll be paying, and then on top of that, you pay your regular income tax. For the LLC, limited liability company, as Pastor said, there's limited liability. You might want to go into that one if you want to limit your personal liability. For a sole proprietorship, you're liable for everything which concerns the business. You're not separate. In a limited liability company, your personal liability is limited. If it's a single member, as in that's just one person for the LLC, the IRS considers that a disregarded entity, which means you're like a sole proprietorship. You just file it on a Schedule C, and that's it. But if you have 2 people or more in the LLC, in the eyes of the IRS, is considered a partnership. So in that case, you have to file a partnership returns, and you would normally follow the normal partnership agreements that you need to use. With the partnership agreement, you spell out how you run the partnership, you run the business, how you split the profit or losses, and those type of things. And then also, you don't actually pay yourself in wages, but you have what you call guaranteed payments, which is basically your pay, and those are tax deductible for the business. But then you'll be responsible to pay your own taxes. But it's also called pass-through entity, and those are issued to you through a K-1. So the K-1 is what you'll use and add it to your own personal tax return. For partnership, you also pay self-employment tax. So on that one as well. The corporations, when you incorporate, the default is a C corporation. So if you just do corporation and you don't do anything else, it's always a C. But then if you want it to be like a pass-through, which some people do, then you have to do a special election with the IRS to be an S corp. And in that case, then you can pass the income through to your personal tax return. So I'll talk about the C corp first. One of the pros of that one is, of course, the limited liability. It's separate from you as an entity. It's an entity on its own. Most of the time, you cannot be held liable for the liabilities of the company. But one of the cons is double taxation. So even though you own the company, you technically cannot take out profits unless it's like dividends. The business itself will pay taxes under a C corporation. So right now, the corporate tax rate, federal corporate tax rate is about 21% flat. So on any profits, you pay tax like that. But then if you also want to take out profits, it's in form of dividends, and then you also have to pay tax on the dividends. So it's that when you hear double taxation, that's where the double taxation comes in. However, if you decide to be an S corp, it's not double taxation. Whatever profit you make gets passed through to you, and in that case, you don't have to pay self-employment tax. So it's just the regular income tax you're paying. However, with the S corp, the IRS is saying you're a shareholder and you work for the business, you have to pay yourself. They call it reasonable compensation. So basically, you cannot underpay yourself, and they don't encourage you to overpay yourself. If you overpay yourself with the Trump tax changes that he made, he also did a provision in there called the QBI, Qualified Business Income Deduction, where for pass-through entities, since you're not corporate and you don't get the benefit of the 20% tax rate, because as a personal person, as a personal income tax, you might be up in like the 37% tax bracket. So there's the QBI provision where the income that passes through to you, you can deduct up to 20% of that as a deduction on your personal income tax. So, but the issue with paying yourself over too much is if you pay more than $250,000 to yourself, then the QBI becomes limited. It starts phasing out. So, of course, you talk to your tax person when you want to do this, figure out, the best way, figure out the best way to structure things. So, some will be you pay yourself in wages, and then the rest you can take as distributions. What else is there to say? Limited liability companies. If you can also, as a limited liability company, elect to be taxed as a corporation. So, for example, a single-member LLC, if your business has grown and you realize that you're going to have a lot of income, and you want to avoid having to pay the self-employment tax on whatever income you have, you can elect to be taxed as a corporation as well. Even an S corp LLC, single member or multi-member LLC, you can either be taxed as a regular corporation, or you can also be a S corporation as well. So, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. How do you say you can pay yourself more than a certain amount, so how do you put that together so that you are not overpaying yourself? Because that one is very important to me.
So for S corporation, so what I would normally say is, but the other thing is with an S corporation, you can take what is, so remember the income that you make on an S corp, it gets passed through to you, so it gets taxed that way. It doesn't mean you actually took out the profits, but you just pay taxes on it. So you can keep the profit in the business, but then you can make distributions later that will be tax-free, considered tax-free at the time you take it out. But the thing is, you've already paid taxes on it, right? And then you can now just take it out as cash later on. No, so the 250K is, if you do more than 250K, it limits the amount of the qualified business income deduction. So let's say, you can deduct up to 20%. If you go over the 250, it might reduce it to like only 10% as your deduction. So that's why I say that you kind of look at both. I usually, my clients that are like home care, people that make a lot of money, when they want to start paying themselves like 400K, I'll be like, well, consider this. If you do 400K, you can do that, but your KPI will be limited. So exactly. So you just have to do it. No, not non-profits, no. No, non-profit is different. No, non-profit is different. You can pay yourself. Non-profit, yes. Yeah, you can't do profit sharing. Right. Yeah, no profit sharing. But you can pay yourself. So under an S corporation, yes, you get a W-2 for your wages, yes, and you get a Schedule K-1. So the income on the Schedule K-1, you don't pay self-employment tax. You only pay income tax. And then also because of Trump's limitation on deductions for taxes, state taxes that some people can do on a Schedule A, some of the states, including Minnesota started maybe, I want to say 2 years ago. They call it pass-through entity tax. So if you hear PTE tax, so for those people who cannot deduct their income taxes or all of their income, state's income or property taxes on their Schedule A, because it's limited to, if you do married filing joint, it's limited to 10,000. If you do separate, it's limited to 5. So even if you make a lot of money and even if you paid like 20K in state taxes and some property taxes, you can only deduct 10,000. So what they did in that is they have a provision now where they have the business can pay the tax on your behalf. It's called pass-through entity tax, and you'll pay it at the highest Minnesota tax rate, which is 9.85. So the business can pay it on your behalf. But then the benefit to you is that it passes through to you and you can apply it towards your state taxes. And it's a deduction on your federal return.
I have a question regarding that. But why is that as you make more, then you now have to pay taxes back? So what do you do to take more money off your check so that you don't pay tax? So, like you said, you can go onto your pass-through one. Please, I want to know that very important.
Yeah, so it just depends. You know, everybody's situation is different. So, I mean, a lot of times you say put money in tax-favored accounts, so like IRAs. If you're working, you can make sure you max out your 401ks. Yeah. Yes. Like max out your 401k. Like 401k contributions if you're W2. Like, max it out. Like if the limit is 30,000, do the 30,000 if you can. I know a lot of people cannot because we always want more take-home pay, but you know that's one way to reduce your taxes. You can do that as well. Yes, that's an option. If you want to pay more during the year, you can do that as well. But if you're trying to lower your taxes overall, try to put your money in tax favor. And it's really not you're avoiding taxes, you're just deferring the taxes. Because you have to pay the taxes at some other point, maybe just not now.
With this new tax scheme, before you pick what you want, 2, 3, 4 children, but
Yeah.
now there's nothing like that.
There's nothing like that.
Understand that part?
Yes, so in it's part of the Trump era taxes. So he changed it, there's no more exemptions. So that the 1, 2, 3 came into no more exemptions at all. So instead what he did is he just increased the standard deduction. So a lot of, yes, yeah, you're still in brackets in tax. So they changed the tax brackets a little bit, no more exemptions. Instead of the exemptions, he increased the standard deduction. And what I found from most of my clients is, people will say, I want to itemize. Now, a lot of people, itemization really does not favor them. The standard deduction is higher. Talk to your tax person, exactly. Talk to your tax person.
Thank you. I got a question here where I learned from a tax preparer that you can, how do you call that? What the term for it? But you can, for example, if you ship something to Africa, that's exemption, right? When you buy a car, that's exemption, right?
No.
Something like that, I heard.
Exemption. No,
Huh?
no.
No, I heard this recently though.
It's an exemption?
Is that exemption? Is that the
No, it's
clean
not
wall? I mean, you can use it for, you can claim it?
No. Are you running a business?
Yeah, because my taxpayer told me something.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
list
know.
of things.
No, I don't know. I
Listen,
don't know about,
list
I
of
don't know-
things.
I don't know about using a
And
car you
those
ship to
things, I'm
Nigeria.
saying, oh my God, I miss a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm not
Gracie,
sure how
I
you
told him, but then I missed a lot of money. He said, Mama, you know what, you ready? Just listen, send me. So I might have to go back and ask him.
Yeah,
Okay?
maybe ask him what he meant by exemption on
It's
that.
better
I
to
don't
ask
know.
question now. Huh?
Like a business loss? You're just talking about shipping a car is an exemption. No. Mm. If you donate it here, it will be part of your charitable deductions. Yeah, no, now it's, basically it's 500. That's the max you can claim, unless they sell it. No. There's never been a fixed amount for donating a car. The difference now is if you donate a car, before, way back, I've been doing this for 20 years. Way back, if you say you donate a car, you can claim whatever you think the car is worth. Yeah. Now, if you donate a car, the max you can deduct is 500, unless they sell it where you donated to. If they sell it for more than 5, then they'll send you a form telling you that we sold it for 2,500, and then when you have the form, then you can claim 2,500. Other than that, it's 500. Household items, I have a lot of people who will tell me, oh, this is designer, it is worth this, it is worth But honestly, used clothes are not worth much. It's not worth much. You can claim them, but they're not worth much. Yeah, you can claim them all. You can claim them, put them on. Me, personally, I don't like to do anything that's going to be a red flag. Doesn't mean that I won't put charitable donations. Make sure you have a receipt. And then the items that we're putting there, list what you donated. I'll put them on the return. I will not claim exorbitant amounts. So like you can't say, I did kitchenwares, maybe two, even if you said 10 set of pots and they now tell me it's worth $5,000. No way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you put what you think is worth. Mm-mm. They just give you the form, then it's left to you to list it and then do it. Yes. Yeah. Good afternoon. No. She was talking about on the W form, on the W4. When you do the W4, that there's before on the W4 you used to be able to say I'm claiming 1, 2, or 3 exemptions. Yeah. So, but you can still claim your aged parents. But before on the tax return, there used to be an exemption amount. I think maybe the last time, if I remember, maybe like $4,000 per person that you could claim on your tax return. Now there's nothing. You can get tax credit for children under 17. No exemption, no, but there's tax credit if you have children under 17. If you have children that are over 17, you can get a max of 500. Aged parents, you can get a max of 500. They don't have to live with you. For parents, you don't have to live with you. They don't have, you don't have to live with you. As long as you pay more than 50% of their upkeep, yes, they don't have. So that becomes the question of, and most of the time, if our parents are not filing a tax return, basically you're paying more than Yeah. So to go back to your question, the exemption, there's no exemption anymore on the tax return, correct? No more exemptions. You can still claim your children. You get the tax credit is what you're getting now. Yes, they do. Yeah, they have to have social security number to claim them. Yeah. That's it. Yes, sir. Sorry. No, unfortunately, if you're doing charitable donations to organizations, they have to be qualified organizations. The IRS has a place that you can go and check if an organization is a qualified one, and you can donate there. But when we send money back home, it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't count. Sorry. Yeah, no family member. I know. I know. Okay. Are we going on break? Okay.